Welcome back to another episode with Mystic
Mystic
Scales
Scales
and
and
Fairy
Fairy
Tales
Tales podcast.
podcast. I'm
Ba-dum.
Jen,
And I'm Lee.
and we're excited for another mini episode that's actually a continuation of our last mini episode. Last time we saw on Glee, our last mini episode, we started talking about the series Powerless, and we wanted to do a little like caveat before to like let you know like the first book, why we like the first book, like we actually do like this series, even though the last book just came out called Fearless, which is a great segue because we are going to review Fearless, the last book in the Powerless series today on our mini episode, and why we loved, hated it, loved it. Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah. Great question.
Great question. So Fearless is the last book in the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. We will be spoilers ahead for this book.
Big ones, like
Big
there's
spoilers.
big spoilers.
Um, we just want to say, Lauren, we love you. If we critique this, just know it's from
Don't
the
hate
bottom of our
us.
hearts. We don't hate us, please, because we actually like really love you as an author, and we really want to see where you go from here. And we're gonna keep
Yes.
reading your books because we think you have a lot of potential. You're writing for the relationships, you're writing for metaphors. It's absolutely beautiful, and there was some
Yeah.
lines that had me like literally so emotional. Please keep writing. You're an amazing writer. Fearless.
Fearless.
Um, Every time I say Fearless too, I just think of the Taylor Swift song, which is like annoying to
Oh,
me because I'm not a Taylor Swift fan,
yeah.
but you are, so it's kind of nice because
I
then,
I kind of didn't think about this as the title at all. Like I was just like, it's powerless.
well,
And
she
I
said
don't
in a TikTok that she had a different one, and I think
title
I
for
think
it.
Simon changed it to Fearless.
Mm.
I think it was like
I don't think
empowered because then it's like
uh
powerless, powerful, like something like it was like something where she had them where they're like each one gets to you by the end, you're like empowered.
yeah. I don't think Fearless fits this book.
Yeah, I don't think it does either because
I don't
who is fearless in it?
right. The only like moment I feel like she becomes fearless is when she's like battling that sea monster, which
You
that made
mean
me crack
sea
up.
monster slash
Queen?
queen,
Right?
which made
I loved
no
that theory.
sense. But
Okay.
Lee, what is your review of the last book in the Powerless series?
Let me see what did I rate it? My review was bad. And it kind of was bad from the jump. I remember reading it and having the gut feeling of like, I don't enjoy this. And you were so sad because you were very into it in the beginning.
I
And
was
I was
calling you
like,
a hater. I was like, Lee, are you a
I
hater?
know. And I felt so bad. But I think when it started, I think one of the problems was I needed to get back into a YA mindset, which I
Hmm.
always feel bad about because this is a YA book. So, like, it's a little less intense. It's a little, more, I want to say like frivolous in the story and the stakes and the characters like emotions. So you just have to keep that in mind. And then I was getting annoyed with Peyton and her sense of flirting because after Reckless, they are an established couple.
Hmm.
Like they are a tragic couple, Peyton and Kai, because they can never be together because now she's betrothed to his brother.
Hmm.
But they very much love each other. They were very much ready to run away. So when she just kept like, I don't know, like the banter was annoying. I was like, no, you love him. Stop like calling him just a bastard. Although, like, I will say by the end of the book, she like Lauren made that like their endearment, like he's my cocky bastard. So I was like, okay. But there was some of it where I was just like,
We
this
get
is
it. Like we get it.
and then later on, when I went to frickin' buy the book, was the moment when Peyton was like, there is no us. And I was like, do I even want this book anymore? Because all there is an us.
That's so
I
funny.
was so mad at her.
Yeah, it felt like there were certain parts where it didn't feel like her character. Like it didn't align with how
No.
she was in the other books, which was just a
Agreed.
little weird.
It,
Especially when she was trying to force Kit to forgive her. It
yeah.
felt not very on brand for Peyton. And at the same time, like, you can't expect someone to just like forgive you automatically for killing their father.
Right.
So
And
it was weird.
I felt like there was also no sense in her of like the two brothers. Like she would like be with Kai and be like pining or whatever. And then in the middle of the night she's going to see Kit to try to like win his friendship back. And I was like, what is your motivation here? And she's like, well, I have to live with him the rest of my life. And I was like, but what?
Yeah.
So I definitely agree. And I think, I don't know, like it was hard to get into the story that way because you were like struggling with their motivations.
I don't really normally read my reviews fully, but I'm actually pretty proud of this review.
Yeah, I think it's a good one.
So I gave the book 3 stars. I'm not sure how to fully feel after finishing this book. I will say I'm a huge fan of the first book, and I fear the series is falling into the first book talk success trend. What I mean by this is the first book is clear, the author cherished this first book to start, it takes off and is hugely successful. However, the rush publishing to keep up with the hype of the first book ends up hurting the series overall. And it is not to say the author loses the heart of cherishing the story, but it can feel rushed or not plotted enough. A great example of this is the series Lightlark. However, I do think this series does have more things to say than Lightlark. I would not
Yeah.
compare the two to Lightlark. I'm comparing them in their book talk success. I
Mm.
will say Lauren's writing is beautiful and poetic. She writes her male love interest amazing, and I hope she continues this journey in her further books. The
Mhm.
banter for Kai and Pei is well done, believable, and you can't help but fall in love with the relationship. I also think as the series went on, Lauren's writing style in general improved throughout. Her setting, descriptions, her metaphors, her character relationships, etc., all grew throughout the series. It was amazing to see for a first-time author. In terms of negatives for this book in particular, here we go. I did not believe the story with the main character, Kit. It felt forced and unbelievable to the relationship formed with the reader from the first book. Although all the shocking twists would keep me on my toes, I do wish they were spread out more in the book than waiting for the end. I
Mhm.
also agree with other viewers in the series. It's very light fantasy. It focuses more
Mhm.
on relationships and the idea of power/oppression. I do
Mhm.
wish the story focused more on fixing the country as the first book did. This felt more of a side plot by the end. Example of that is when they're like, oh my God, Kit put the plague out into the world. JK, the queen decided that she noticed it and the plague is not in the world randomly.
Right? Surprise, this person that we've never heard of before.
Solved all their problems.
Yeah.
I think this is also why I love the novella because it had no overall plot, just focusing on a blossoming and tragic love story that Lauren always writes elegantly. The
Mhm.
repetition of the trials worked for me and didn't work in this book. It all felt like luck for pay rather than showing her true skill as in the first two books. I did like the idea of venturing to another kingdom and trying to tie together the overall plot of a broken land. I just wish
Mhm.
it expanded upon even more. I also felt Pei's motives were confusing throughout the novel. Her plot with Blair was not fitting for a character or for what A would have wanted her to do.
Mhm.
Her trying to force Kit to forgive her, like we said, was also necessary. In terms of the positive of this book, I can't echo enough how well Lauren writes romance. I hope she continues with her journey, possibly with cozy fantasy genre, which I know we mentioned last episode. Her
Mhm.
writing is relatable, soul crushing, and just making you blush all the time without it being smut. I
Mhm.
will miss characters of Kai, Adina, Lenny, and more. The world building needed work, and I often would forget the magic systems, but it was cool when it was used. The use
Mhm.
of Eldrick, the king, was
Oh,
really well
yeah,
done in my opinion, and it kept you on your feet. This won't be a top series for me, but there are things I will take away from it that I love, like Kai and sticky buns. So
Mm.
that's my full review. Like I said, I normally don't read my review, but I was really proud of this.
Yeah.
And I
Good.
think that wraps up like my I said this last mini episode, like I think Kit was such a lovely character in the first book, and I hate the way she went about it by this third book. The second book, it was okay. It was kind of annoying. You were like, what's going on with Kit? What's going on with Kit?
Right.
And
Right.
that's why it was so believable by the time we get to Fearless that he was being controlled
Mhm.
because his
Mhm.
character wasn't fitting to what he was acting like. And you're like,
Right.
oh, immediately, okay, this character's not fitting to the way he was acting, so he's being controlled. That
Mhm.
makes so much more sense than
Mhm.
in the end of him being like, Actually, he was crazy the whole time. And actually, he
Well,
didn't love Peyton. He just like loves Kai
yeah.
and he wanted Kai back. He didn't want Peyton back. It wasn't a love trial between Kai, Peyton, and Kit. It was a love trial between Kit and Peyton trying to fight for Kai's time. I'm like, that makes
Yeah.
no fucking sense. Like, is he in love with him? Like, is this like an incest relationship?
Right.
No,
Is
you're
it
just
the
trying to stress
incest
this.
the opposite? Like, if you were gonna go with that, go with it. Like,
Hmm.
I wouldn't have liked it either way,
No,
but
I
yeah,
would not have.
what I thought about was based on the info dump in
Many
Fearless,
info dumps.
yeah, about Kit and his uh motives and his character and his relationship with his father. The Kit that he has presented to Peyton in the first book wasn't real. So like the Kit that she thinks she knows and loved wasn't a real person. Like the only person who knows Kit
Is Kai.
and right.
But then
Yeah.
the way that Kai would describe him was similar to the way that Peyton experienced him.
So it
So
was like,
who knew Kit?
and how did Kit just suddenly be like, nah, Dad, you're not thinking big enough. We need to have legacy. Like, we need to take over the world. And I was like, where did you get this from?
This evil man plot of like suddenly he realizes his dad ain't shit. He realizes his dad is like not powerful enough. You need to be more powerful. And then like suddenly he hates Peyton and wants Peyton gone. And then suddenly he's like, I just want my brother back so we can rule the world together. I hated it. I hate that plot. It did not fit for this freaking character. I wish from book one I was suspicious of him then. Like I
Right.
needed to have some suspicion as the reader as to why this character wasn't that. And then
Mhm.
I'm like, is she commenting then like saying like his mental health deteriorated and that's why he like went this way? Then I'm like, okay, then is this becoming like more of that story? Then again, I needed that from the beginning because for me
Yeah.
book two, I got the grief, and which is
Hmm.
understandable. But then if
Hmm.
you're gonna be like, fuck my dad, he was a terrible person, then I would think it would go in the vein of like Dorian or Rune
Mm.
or characters
Hmm.
that don't fuck my dad, he treated me like shit, he wasn't right, there's a better way. And then
Right.
that's also why we believed that Callum was controlling him because
Right.
Kit's character from Kai's perspective and from Peyton's, because don't forget we get both their perspectives in this book,
Hmm.
gave Kit off to be this noble character that maybe he eventually realizes, oh, my dad is wrong, my dad's lying to us, let's fix everything and make things better. Which is what you assume as well by the end of book two. You're like, oh, he's marrying her to protect her. Like,
Right.
no, he ends up he's not. He's marrying her because Callum said to, and because he knew that the borders would open so that he can infect the rest of the world.
But oh, there's so many things to unpack there.
I'm so
Um,
angry.
I don't even know if I could start with the marriage thing. Let's go back to we talked about plotting and you had mentioned, I don't think on the podcast, but if we had seen a little bit more of Kit in this plotting in book two in Reckless, like more than just the grief, which when you get to the end of Fearless, you kind of realize that I think her point was supposed to be about grief and how people handle grief differently. So I can respect in book two that we are seeing Kit like at the pinnacle of his grief, which literally his father has just died. It's
Yeah.
only 2 weeks between book one and book three, anyways. But I think you had mentioned like if we had just seen more of even, and like we do see Kit with Callum, but like not just this Kit like scribbling and like being a madman. Like we needed to see more of his character change.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like you
Well,
you put
that's why
on
we
your
missed.
little editor hat and I was like, I want to hear more.
Well, that's why I was like, we missed those like she gave us the kid chapters in Reckless, so why did you not keep going with them in Fearless? And I know you
Yeah,
wanted this big like shocking, but it was too much that it didn't make sense. And
right.
if it had been given to us throughout, then at least for me to be able to pick up on the fact that Kit didn't like Peyton. Like I think we were able to pick up that like there was no romance, and that was easy enough to pick up on. But
Yeah.
there still seemed like he cared, and like I was defending him so much to you as we were reading it until we got to like her being like, "No, Jennifer, you literally can't defend him anymore because Lauren, as the writer, am telling you that this is what happened." But like I was just like, no, it's like he's trying to defend Peyton. He's trying to like he thinks the ordinaries like need to be saved and stuff, and then to find out like no, he actually doesn't care about the ordinaries. It just didn't fit his character. It didn't fit at all from what we experienced.
No.
And
And like
I would
why,
have wanted more.
yeah, why would you want to write an evil person who's more evil than the evilest we know, like more evil than his father? Like that was
And
just
becomes evil because of his grief. It didn't sit right with me at all.
no. And
Which
then
of
I was
course it's
also,
possible, but it just didn't sit right.
yeah. And then I was also like trying to reason because like ultimately like Kai and Peyton don't tell anyone what really happened.
Hmm.
They just he died like Kit dies and they let him die as like the king and nobody knows his true character. And then they go and they name their child after him. And it's kind of like, what is the morals here? It's very
Nobody
conflicting.
questioned them at all. The fact that they got married and then the same night he died.
Yeah. And
And they all didn't even like Peyton to begin with, so like why wouldn't they question her that she murdered him?
right. And like no offense to Kai, but like he doesn't have the like he's a enforcer. He's not a ruler. He's not a politician. So like he just becomes king and that's fine. And
Like
she
Kit
just
should have been
becomes
king.
right.
And I
And then
think what I'm sorry, I think what the problem is that with a villain, you want to empathize with them enough to understand why they got to where they are. And I think that's what we're missing is we don't get
mm,
able to understand why he is who he is to be able to be like, oh, I mean, like that's kind of fucked up. Like you shouldn't go about. Like, you could have done this a different way. But like I
right.
understand why your grief or why your pain brought you this. Like a great example is in the you haven't read the series yet, but in Daughter of No Worlds in that series, there's the villain of that story is so well done by Carissa Broadbent because you're able to, I think book two or book three, you get their backstory and within like weaved in within the main character story. So you're able to see how this person like wasn't inherently bad or maybe was inherently or whatever, and the world was terrible to them and that's why they became what they came.
Mm,
And if you're trying to say that with Kit, was saying like his father was terrible to him and that's why he became what he became, I needed that. I needed to understand that. I needed to feel that and to be like, you get to that crossroad with the character where they can go good or bad with whatever the pain they're facing,
mm,
and you see why they go one way and why they go the other way and it makes sense. Similar to in Throne of Glass, when we see Maeve and we're like, wait, was Maeve actually bad? Or was she just given bad
yeah.
circumstances? And was the world just
Yeah.
like shitty to her? And that but then
Hmm.
you could see why she became who she became. You don't defend it, but then you're like, but it kind of makes sense. Another thing like Disney villains. Disney villains, there's so many of that where you're just like,
Right.
okay, like I know that they're villains, but like I see why Hades hates Zeus. And I see why Maleficent is Maleficent. Like you understand it. And if you're gonna make Kit this villain, we need to understand why he got to where he was in that experience and not in an info dump. And that's where it went wrong.
Yeah. And I think also like we would have understood based on the kid we thought he was, and having this awful father and like clearly he didn't live up and like really the father wanted like Kai's power even though that wasn't his son. But then she like veered like hard right and was like and the info dump was like no that's not Kit at all. Like that's not his character. And you're like what do you mean?
And also like I've been lying to you the whole time. He knew about everything since the beginning and he was playing with Peyton. Like
Right, he was complicit. Like, I don't
that's my
know.
biggest qualm with this book, as you could tell. Is I just ranted about it for who knows how many minutes. Like, it brought me back to the midnight party when we went to for Reckless because we were so excited to like be there, whatever. And we had they had this wall and you got to put post-its up of like what you want for the rest of the series or just like wishes or whatever theories. And we had put like, please give Kit a happy ending because of how much we loved him as a character. And we knew from the beginning that him and him and Peyton were not supposed to be together. Like, although it presented as a love triangle, it really wasn't a love triangle. You knew that from the beginning. You just knew that their relationship and their friendship was given. And so I was like, by the end of book two, I was like, oh, they're gonna get married. Like, they're probably not gonna get married, but like this friendship, maybe she'll be like whatever. And you wanted the best for Kit. And so when this happens and Lauren realized totally off track, it's disappointing and it just makes me more sad than anything. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, where's the fanfic? Like somebody write a different fanfic. I want a different thing. Like
Right.
she tries to redeem it with the ending with being like,
Like the
you know,
epilogue.
the epilogue, like, he gets to like go die and get peace there with his possible, which that's also a theory. So the theory is that it's Adina and Mac, but then when we listen to the audiobook, it's the same person that read for the king. So we thought it was
Right.
the king and the
Weird, weird.
mom, which also like how would the king bring him peace if the king never brought him peace?
Exactly. Also, like that, the epilogue to me read as so sad. It just like read as like Kit was resorted to being like a little boy, like lost and unloved. And I was like, why is this your wrap up to the series? I was confused.
So
And
what other qualms did you have with the book, Lee? My biggest one obviously is Kit.
okay.
What did you have any other ones that stuck out to you the most?
I think I kind of mentioned it last episode. It is just this, there was so much that was presented to the reader rather than the characters, and we had so much time with information. Like we knew, oh, I don't know by which chapter, but that like Peyton was the lost princess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Tangled.
right. With hair, special hair.
Yep.
Um, and so we had to sit with that uncomfortable knowledge that she is related to one, both of these brothers. And like we said, this is a Luke and Leia situation, like not okay with this.
And we sat
Although
with it for
everyone,
way too long.
yeah. So like truly, I should go on Fable and see when we figured that out. Um, and like granted, we didn't know like her full lineage. I think at first we thought like she and Kit were full brother, sister,
Yeah, we
and
did.
that was disturbing.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's yeah, just that she needed to work through that and also just like that was a bad plot point. I hated it. Like why are they all weirdly related, not related? The amount of times we were all like, but wait, Kai is older than her. Or like so they say. So like how does the math work on that? And again, it was a tangled situation because like why did they tell anyone that he was older? You know, like why did they say that Rapunzel's birthday was this day? Like so that made me very uncomfortable. I thought the reaction to the reveal was stupid. Like Peyton was stupid. Um, and it was I had an interesting conversation at work. We were talking about how so many of our like main female characters we just end up frustrated with and call them dumb, call them stupid. Like how many times have I said that about Violet? And uh our boss was like, you would never say that about Frodo. Like Frodo, and I know you're not like a Lord of the Rings person, but like he's not being described as stupid. Like he's not making dumb decisions.
Hmm.
And it was just like, "Ugh, why is this like dumb girl a trope? I'm
I
not
don't know, and I think it's like I think it really is with like really popular authors, I would say, because I brought up Carissa Broadbent. I feel like when I read her characters, it's not that. And I feel like it depends on the author and how they're writing it. But I agree, like this dumb girl trope is really frustrating and really getting like out of hand. And um I would say like the only one recently that we haven't said as much was Bryce, but Bryce, we won't say she's dumb. We'll just say like
not
she's
dumb.
acting childish. Maybe
Yeah.
like she's acting childish. She shouldn't be acting like that. But at least
Yeah.
she's not dumb. And it's like there's reactions of them that like it's not adding up to like who you're setting up this character to be.
Mhm.
And I agree. There was parts in this book where Payne had that, and it's just like Payne was not like that in book one and two.
Yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
she acting like that now?
Right. And I think another like example of that was this book, I had to like remember like Peyton is like feisty. Like she had to be on the streets. Like it was her and Adina. She had to steal. and like she had to fight, and I if I didn't know that, I wouldn't have believed it from this
Hmm.
book.
And that's what I said in my review. Like anything, like all of her skill just like went out the window and then she had luck. And I'm like, but she
Yeah.
was skilled. Like she had the skill of the people skills, the social skills, the psychic skills, like the fighting skills, everything. And it just like it didn't feel like it was here at all.
No, and I don't know. It's interesting because, right, you said this Powerless was published in 2023, and here we are 2 years later, and we have all of them. So she's writing in a very short time. Like, why is the characterization getting lost? And I just think, I mean, maybe it's just back to the TikTok pushing things out is a disservice. So, yeah.
Depending, because do you feel that way with Ellie Hazelwood?
No.
Miss, I've had 3 books in a year, you
No,
know?
but Allie is also okay. I was thinking about this, so thank you for bringing her up. Um, Allie is very formulaic, so it's there's a couple. They often don't like each other. They work in like differing sides of a company, or like one is the professor and one is the student. Like there's tension.
Impacting the other person.
Yeah, and then so it's often like an enemies to lovers, which we love. And then there's usually one other person who is close to one of the two, and they are the secret bad guy. And there are some books where it works, and some where you're immediately like, no, why are you trusting this person? Um, but what I love about Allie is like she writes in every setting is like a different it's different from what you like normally write. So like she writes in like labs and she
Hmm.
writes about diving, like Olympic divers. Like I don't know anything about that. So she always like teaches things. So I think that keeps it fresh too.
Hmm.
Um
And her relationships, the way that she writes these characters is different,
yeah,
even
and
if
they're
it's formulaic.
right, and they're also just kind of like real. Like she has one where the girl she just like goes on dating apps to like help guys out like if they need like a date to the wedding or whatever, you know. So
Hmm.
like she just needs some extra cash. She's a poor college student, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't feel like her stuff ever gets like stale.
See, this is
So
I brought her up too because I think Lauren could do well. I'm like Lauren's author or agent now
I
in
love
this
it.
kind of thing because it's like Lauren is so good at making the relationships. And even if the book was formulaic, for example, she did a bunch of romance novels that are formulaic, she could bring different characters and different love of that to the characters like Allie does.
Yeah.
So I we talk about this book talk and it making impacting the stories, but if you do it right, like Miss Ellie Hazelwood, it is possible. And I would offer, I mean I don't read Emily Henry, but I would also say probably Emily Henry would be in the same vein of that. Like things like
I
that. And that's in the romance. So I'm waiting to see
yeah.
that with
Yeah.
fantasy. And I think that that's what we're looking for with the popular books. I mean, it exists in fantasy. There are amazing fantasy books, and we've both read them. They're not
Mhm.
as popular or whatever, but like for these book talky famous books, like that's what is needed.
Yeah, like there's two that come to mind, which are like The Deal with the Elf King,
Mhm.
that whole series.
She's been writing for a
Um,
very long time though, and she was self-publishing first.
that which
Like
is
that was
very
self-published.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
like that's and again I brought up Carissa Broadbent a bunch and Carissa Broadbent was self-published first before
Mm,
Bramble picked her up. So it's like that's
interesting.
also a thing I've noticed is that authors that are self-published first, they're it, it's bringing a different kind of perspective in terms of how their
Mhm.
characters are going and their stories are going in the fantasy world and how
Mhm.
it's kind of really good.
Yeah, I like that. And then the other one, which I haven't read yet, I don't know if you have the lattes and the ogres and
Oh,
lattes
Legends of
world.
Lattes, the cozy fantasy.
Yeah,
I have not read
yeah.
that yet. Yeah. I
So I
have it
just
though.
think yeah, there's definitely something to be said about that, that it can work.
Hmm.
You don't have to like swing for the fences. So
Yeah.
it's I just felt so bad that I was so disappointed, you know? I feel like I
Um,
haven't felt that way in a while.
it really is sad because we were waiting so much for this book and we were so excited. And do you have any positives though about it?
I mean, we talked about Kai and the lyrical, and the poetic, love, love.
Hmm.
Um, I guess those are my favorite things. But even so,
Hey,
those got repetitive this book.
it feels
This
like you
book
gave
is
it like a 2. Did you give
far
it
too
like a
long.
2?
I gave it a 3.
Hmm. At least that's nice. We both give it the same rating in the end, despite
Yeah,
you having a less happy time with it than I did.
it's almost 600 pages. Does
Yeah, it was
not
way too
need to
long.
be
It
that
was way
long.
too long.
They do not need to be this long. We don't have attention spans like this anymore, people.
No, I don't know what I love a 600-page book. I will gladly love a 600-500-page book if the plot moves. If things move and they're not repetitive and like there's not unnecessary things. Like when there's unnecessary things, I get annoyed and I just want to like skip past it and I want to just like keep going. Like let's keep going, people.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Part of me was also like, does she have secret powers? Like, are we gonna get a secret power? She's the most powerful. So I guess I'm kind of
yeah, but
glad
I
that didn't
think that
happen.
it would have defeated the purpose of her
Right.
trying to show that ordinaries are powerful and you can be powerful without having powers. I'm like actually so glad that she was still powerless by the end of
Mhm.
it.
And I'm like curious, like the future of this kingdom, this place, are they gonna have
Apparently they
less?
are fine for whatever
I mean,
years
yeah,
later with their
yeah,
baby.
but do they have less powers, more ordinaries? Like, because
Yeah,
yeah, if it
what is
just,
baby Kit? Does baby Kit have powers?
I don't know. Actually, I think there was a thing on the club that said yes because Kai could sense her in the field and
Oh.
sense powers. So I did think that was like a good little nod, you know.
Hmm.
They were cute in the end. They were very cute.
Yeah, it was cute. I don't mind they don't get to live happily ever after and they get married and have kids. I don't mind. But I just want to know like did your kingdom die?
Yeah, it was struggling.
It was an Aladdin Jasmine moment where like suddenly they all know how to rule a kingdom and they save the
Hmm.
kingdom. And
Truly.
that's like, do you
And
have any qualifications for this? No.
right. And Peyton really is Aladdin. She's starts in the streets.
She really
Mhm.
is Aladdin.
So this is just like an Aladdin retelling.
Oh my God. I think that's a great place to end it. Thank you all for listening for our two-part mini episode of the Powerless trilogy by Miss Lauren Roberts, and this review of Fearless, specifically the last book. I want to thank you all for standing by and hearing our disappointments from this. Definitely join us on
Yeah.
our on the app Fable for all of our book clubs where we discuss more in detail of these things. We have 3 book clubs. We have a Hunger Games one, we have a Fourth Wing one, and then we have a now fantasy one that was previously SJM for first timers. And we are going to be reading Divine Rivals, reading through the
Excited.
series, the duology, I should say. It's 2 books and then reviewing it immediately on the podcast. So if you ever wanted a place where you could read along, chat with the book, and then immediately after you finish the book, get someone's review of it and hear more people's opinions of it, this
And
is your chance.
commentary.
You'll
Yeah.
read the book with us. You'll see our reactions as we go along with all of our amazing club members. Shout them out. And then you can come on here and hear our review not far after we finish. So that's the plan, Stan. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Baytail Podcast. And we hope that you dive into whatever book you're reading and happy reading.
Happy reading.